Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Extension Office Friday as you're listening on the radio today. Karen Poff is back on the Zooms with me, but we are not talking money. It's a little too early for that, Karen. I'm still looking at all of the bills coming in for the holidays. So let's not talk money today. How about that?
Sounds good.
Although you would be proud, I had a budget. I made a list. I did all of the things right this year because I was determined to keep it to a certain amount. So aren't you proud?
I am very proud of you. That just makes my day.
So you and I are introducing a new extension agent today that's going to be representing Warren County. That's a pretty big deal.
Yes, we are really excited to have this position filled. If people remember Corey Childs, it's his position. Serves the whole Northern Shenandoah Valley for animal science. The position is half in Warren. And so we are so excited to have Miss Cynthia Fairbanks with us. She has interned with us in the past. She has excellent credentials and she's going to be great to work with. So we're excited. This is her first day. So to get her introduced to the community right away.
No pressure, Cynthia. No worries whatsoever.
She interned with us. If she can handle that, she can handle this.
When you sent me the email and told me she was going to be our guest today and that she had been an intern in Frederick County, you and I have done several shows over the years. I remember back when we were live even, you would bring the interns in as their internship was coming to an end, and we would talk to them about what their future career plans were and things like that. It's really cool to know that those interns can and do come back to serve the community.
They do, absolutely. They get hooked on extension and then they just wait until a position shows up.
Cynthia, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Give me some history and some background.
I am from Clark County, so I grew up in Berryville on my family's farm. So we actually did have a little cow-calf operation, and throughout high school, I raised meat goats to sell to 4-H and FFA kids. So I was involved in 4-H and FFA myself. I showed steers and goats and pigs, and that's really what developed my passion for livestock and drove me to start studying dairy science at Virginia Tech, which ultimately I decided I enjoyed the business side of education more than the science side. And I transitioned over to Ag Econ, where I received my bachelor's and master's from Tech. So while I was in undergrad, that's really when I started interning with the extension office in Frederick County. And I really enjoyed the outreach and the education and all of the different networking opportunities that really came from that internship those 2 summers. And that's really what developed my solidification of me wanting to be an extension agent. So when I saw that this position was open, I knew it was meant to be. This is everything I've wanted to do.
When you were in 4-H, when you were active and participating in 4-H, did you have any real idea of what the broader picture of extension was, or did it take being an intern to finally make you understand that there are all these things involved?
I really didn't. And I remember telling my supervisor, Mark Suffin, at the time in Frederick County, how diverse extension really was and how I was not aware of all the different opportunities while I was in 4-H myself. So it truly was a learning curve, and getting to go out with Karen and do some of her financial programming and assist with the master gardeners, getting to see all of the different opportunities really helped me to be able to pass on all of the different education to other people.
Are you excited about having your own place now, being the Warren County Extension agent?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I actually moved from Bedford County for this position. Well, I was in the middle of my master's program when I moved down towards Smith Mountain Lake with my fiance, and I was working at a community college at the time down there on a grant for ag tech and saw this position posted. And once I got the job, we had the house under contract in 4 days. So we were ready to move and ready to make the leap back up north. So yeah, very happy to be back up here.
Got to be cool to be able to come back and do this in your own backyard. That's even more interesting. So many of the agents that I've talked to over the years came from somewhere else. This is really cool that you came from here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of perks with that, getting to already have some relationships developed in these 5 counties that I'll be serving. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of networking and understanding of what is needed programmatically here in the 5 counties, but being able to already have some relationships, I think will really help with this position.
And it's going to be great that you came into this not necessarily knowing all of the extension things. So you're going to be in a much better position to be explaining to people, oh no, but we also do this. And oh
Yeah.
no, but we also do that because you've been there before.
Yeah, exactly.
Karen, how excited are you to have somebody? Because she's going to be based in Warren, and that's where you're based out of, right? In your closet of
Absolutely.
an office.
But it's no longer a closet. We renovated, and you need to just come by and see us because we reconfigured and agent offices are bigger. I'm no longer in the closet. The closet is now storing supplies like it was intended to. So we're in good shape there. And I'm thrilled to have Cynthia here. One of the things that I was going to point out, and you've, I think, been around long enough to know this, but we used to have a farm business management specialty. Bill Whittle was our farm business management. And when he retired, they did not continue that specialty area. But that is a need within the ag community that we have that Cynthia's expertise now can meet. She's an animal science agent, but she's got current up-to-date ag econ knowledge that can serve the Northern Shenandoah Valley, which is awesome since there are no farm business management specialty positions anymore. I think that's something unique that she brings to the table.
And Cynthia, I think that's going to be very much needed because we have so many farm businesses. People used to not think of farming as a business, and it's always been a business. But now, how you run that is so incredibly different than how you would run a farm 10 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Absolutely. And then having understanding and knowledge of research that's been done over the past few years that's being able to be provided to farmers and producers in the area that may not have access to that over the past 10, 15 years, or can even just get on a listserv with an email to get news articles that are sent to them or programs that are being sent to them to understand that up-to-date knowledge.
So we're recording this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on your very first day. So you've not even been on the job for 8 hours yet. Do you have any idea, or do you already have this list of here's some really great things that I want to get started on or things I need to get more familiar with?
I was just talking with our 4-H agent here in the office about implementing a little bit of an embryology program with some of her 4-H groups because I've hatched a bunch of chicks out myself over the past year with some of my chickens, and it's a really great learning curve to understand developmentally the different stages of hatching chicks. So, I mean, that's something that I would love to work with her on, and I'm sure other things will come to mind. But right now, my main focus is getting out in the community and getting to meet people.
You mentioned earlier when you were an intern and you got to work with Karen and you got to work with the master gardeners. It's got to be a little bit of a relief to come into a position like this and know that you don't have to know all of the things. You just have to know the people who know the things.
Yeah, and that is definitely a relief because any questions that I have so many great resources in these 5 counties to be able to talk to and to understand better without me having to scram for information. Having these great relationships is going to be such a big help with this position.
When you mentioned mailing lists and such, we are in a position right now where, because we didn't have the ability to ask Corey about his email list, we're trying to recreate that for Cynthia. So that's a good thing for us to say to the listeners. If you want to connect with Cynthia, give us a call, send us an email. We have a link where you can sign up for the email list and get her your contact information and everything. But I'm sure she'd just be glad to talk with you if you give us a call. So definitely connect with us because we don't have that great list of contacts that we often do start a new agent out with.
Let's take a break. When we come back, Cynthia, can we talk a little bit more about what some of your future plans are in that position? Can we do that in the next segment?
Sure.
We are on the Zooms today for Extension Office Friday. Karen Poff is joining me. She is introducing us to Cynthia Fairbanks. She is the new Ag Extension agent for Warren County, though she does serve all 5 of our surrounding counties. We're going to come back and talk more with both of them in just a couple of minutes.
This Saturday, Henry Mueller will change the world. He has no idea that's what he's going to do. He only knows that he went to justserve.org and signed up to spend time at a senior center Saturday morning. As he browsed through service opportunities in his own community, he remembered the words of Paul to the Galatians, "By love serve one another." Little does Henry know that Saturday morning he'll end up speaking to one senior in particular who hasn't seen his family in several weeks and is feeling especially lonely. Henry doesn't know the short time he'll spend with this man will lift his spirits, cheer his heart, and make his life just a little better. Through love and service this Saturday, Henry Mueller will change the world. See the difference you can make. Sign up for service opportunities in your community. Visit justserve.org.
Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Extension Office Friday. We are on the Zooms today with Karen Poff. She is introducing us to Cynthia Fairbanks. Cynthia is the new ag agent based in Warren County, though she does serve all 5 of our surrounding counties. We talked a little bit in the first segment, Cynthia, that your background in ag econ and helping farms run their businesses as effectively as they possibly can is going to be a huge benefit, because that's been a gap in the last couple of years for our area. Is that one of the things that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, and a lot of my background, especially in my master's program, was being able to incorporate data into farming as well. And so being able to take previous data and kind of forecast what that's going to look like. So my final deliverable for my master's was taking Virginia corn prices and trying to see how that's going to look for the next 5 years in regards to climate change. That's something that I can also work with, is working with some of those coding softwares to forecast different data points going forward for Virginia agriculture.
There is a substantial amount of training that is involved in your first year, probably regardless of what your background or your education is anyway. That's got to be helpful given the fact that you did get your master's. So you're used to the education and the training and that sort of stuff. But I imagine there's a lot of things that you're going to learn in this first year.
Yeah, definitely. Aside from just the typical HR onboarding stuff, I'm going to be heading to Virginia Tech in March for the Ag Agent onboarding, which is a 2-day event. So that'll give me the opportunity to meet my cohort of Ag Agents, and also just getting out into the community and meeting people and attending different programs with different agents in the area and shadowing the other ag agent in Page County, Elizabeth Mullins, getting to see what she does and see what is needed programmatically a little bit more north from where her office is located. So
I wish I could take the ag agent training, honestly, because what they do is every other month they have training, and they go around to the different agricultural research and extension centers and learn about, of course, Austin Smith, which is close to us, as a lot of fruit research. And if you go down to the one that's in Tidewater, AREC, they do a lot of seafood things. So if you get around to all those different extension centers, you learn a lot about a lot of different agriculture subject matter. And I think that's going to be so fun, because when you're in school, it's a lot of book work and not as much getting to see, touch, feel, and taste what practical applications are like of the job.
So let's talk a little bit about this upcoming year. Most ag agents don't just jump in and pick up business as usual. Part of what you want to do is figure out what's needed, because there may be programs that just aren't as necessary as they were a couple of years ago. Is that how you plan to spend most of your time in this first year, is just figuring out what's needed?
Yeah, so when I attend events and programs with other agents, I'm hoping to gauge community demand in regard to programs by taking questionnaires or taking surveys to see what's needed and what producers and farmers in this region really need, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on something that really isn't going to be quite effective to my audience in this area. So I want to be as effective as possible by really getting the resources directly from the people that I'm going to be helping. So yeah, definitely.
Another reason for them to either stop by, call, or join that email list, so that she can have people to contact to say, what are your needs? How can I best address them? What are the things that you think Extension should be doing that maybe we haven't been able to do because we haven't had as much capacity? We're going to have a lot more capacity now.
Yeah, because you don't know what you don't know at this stage of the game, and what may have worked in another area might not work here, or what may have worked in another area, to Karen's point, couldn't be done here because you didn't have capacity. Now you may have that capacity. So it could be a whole new ball game for everyone who's associated with Extension.
Yeah.
And there will also be the programs that are done on a standard basis. They're doing pesticide recertification, so Cynthia will be helping with that. We'll be having our drinking water clinics again in the spring, so she'll be helping with that. That's another way to learn not only the programming, but meet the people and do the surveys and find out more about what's needed, is just by participating with organizing and implementing some of the programming that we already have as a part of the team.
And I would imagine, Cynthia, having 2 animal science agents in your office is going to be hugely beneficial, because that means neither one of you have to know all of the things. You can both have your own strengths and be able to take some of that workload off of each other.
Yeah, so Elizabeth's located in Page County, so she's at an office a few counties over, and I think there's a lot of perks with us being a little bit separate so that we can work well together, but also have our own programs in our own counties as well.
She's done the show a couple of times. As I was pulling the yearly for Karen to have her report, I had totally forgotten that she had done the show on bird flu, which is one of the most listened to episodes that we have ever done. People were really curious about bird flu.
Who would have thought?
I know, right? Yeah. If nothing else, that show taught me I didn't want chickens. That's for sure.
Yeah, the bird flu was a scary time. People were really scared to have their backyard birds at the time, and it's still a thing. It's not gone away, but it's, I think, a little bit more contained.
So if someone is listening today and they are very excited that you're on board and they have an idea or they have a need, what is the mechanism? What is the process for them to get in touch with you? How does that work exactly?
So you can call our office in Front Royal, and the phone number is 540-635-4549, and I'm happy to talk with you via the phone. But if email's easier, you can always send me an email as well. It is Cynthia, so Cynthia 2000 at vt.edu. And I am happy to be a resource and excited to be a resource for anybody who might want to chat with me about anything. So I am here to stay, and I'm very excited to be here.
I love to hear that part. Here to stay.
And it could be something as simple as somebody listening today and realizing that they've always wanted to learn more about XYZ, or they need a different way to be able to market their farm, or they need to know how they should be taking advantage financially of different things. It could be any number of things that either you can put a program or a class together for, or you can just say, oh, here's the list of resources. Go and figure out what it is that you need, and then I'm here to walk you through it. It can be as little or as much as people need when they reach out to you.
And she can actually also, people think about the master gardeners doing at this time of year, they don't have office hours in our office. So some of the simple things that you would think of, what is this bug and how do I get rid of it? Or why does my plant have this color leaves and how do I fix it? A lot of times people during the growing season, they'll come here on Mondays during the Master Gardener's hours and ask those kinds of questions. It doesn't mean that they can't ask them now, because Cynthia's here to help with that as well, even though it's outside of the kind of growing season. So whatever questions people have, anything related to ag, bring them to us here. And if Cynthia doesn't know the answer, she'll find it out.
That's right.
That's one of the first things my first Boston Extension said. You need to learn. I don't know, but I'll find out. If you can say that, you're good.
And that's a constant thing. You'll be here 15, 20 years from now, Cynthia, and still have to tell somebody, I'm not sure. Let me do some research and I'll get back to you. That is a constant thing when you become an ag agent. And I would imagine part of that's because nothing ever stays the same. So even something that you answer today might be a totally different answer in 5 years from now.
You're not kidding. When I first started an extension, salmonella was becoming a thing, and they told us that it would never be in eggs that weren't cracked. It couldn't be in an intact egg. And so that's what we told people for my first few years in extension. Well, lo and behold, a few years later, they found it in intact eggs. And we had to tell people, gee, the science has changed. It's not that we were wrong necessarily. It's what science knows now is different. And so I learned pretty quickly to, instead of answering with a final answer on things from what we know today, or here's what the science says today, and it's not guaranteed for a lifetime, that answer.
That goes back to the foundation, quite frankly, of extension overall is that research-based information. And the more things change, the more research that needs to be done. And some things are handled differently, or they do more research and realize, oh, this is a thing that we just didn't know about before because it hadn't happened up until that point.
Absolutely.
So they can call you at the office, Cynthia. Tell me that number one more time.
It is 540-635-4549.
They can send you an email.
Yep. And that's at cynthia2000@vt.edu.
And then you have a Facebook page. People can follow along on Facebook. They could probably submit questions through Messenger and just keep up with what's going on with you there. How do they find you on Facebook?
It's the Northern Shenandoah Valley Agriculture and Natural Resources Facebook page. So that provides daily updates pretty much on all things agriculture.
And then, of course, you have the website, which Karen and I joke about on a regular basis, that's very long and complicated, that I will just put the link to in show notes so people can find it at the valleytodaypodcast.com, because it is the upside and the downside to sometimes working with an educational facility is that the web addresses get a little long.
That's true, but we are there. And you can always Google Warren County Extension. That works too.
What are your hours at the office?
We're here 8 to 5.
And you're located in the government center.
That's correct.
Suite 500.
All right. People are going to start popping into your office now, so brace yourself.
I'm ready.
Well, Cynthia, thank you for letting Karen ask you to be a guest on the show today. Hopefully you had a good time and you'll come back again before the end of the year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
At least I came with her. I didn't just throw her in without me, so.
That's a very good point. That's true. And Karen, we're going to get a money show on the books at some point soon, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you both. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I will be back on Monday with a brand new episode of The Valley Today. In the meantime, if you heard Tuesday's show, then you already know that Old Town on the Rocks is happening this weekend. Kicks off tonight, Friday, as you're listening on the radio today, is also on Saturday and on Sunday. Brady Cloven and I from Friends of Old Town did a little day drinking that we are calling officially research last week, where we went around and talked to some of the restaurants that are participating in that and tasted a few of the cocktails that are in the contest. So if you've got some time this weekend, head on down to Old Town Winchester and enjoy a drink or two, and make sure you vote for your favorite. Meanwhile, I will be back on Monday. I'll have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you just a few minutes after noon.